Batter up.
Wagon Cliffs, they're on the air. Yankees, Mets, they're everywhere. From the Bronx to Queens, the diamond gleams. MLB talk, the ultimate team. MLB is the place to be. Wagon Cliffs with the pitch you'll see. Swinging stacks and stories fly. Baseball talk that's amplified.
And welcome to a new episode of NY MLB Talk with your hosts Rob and Chris as we cover the Mets, the Yankees, and all of Major League Baseball. And if you're on YouTube right now, hit that sub button. We would definitely appreciate that a lot. And if you want, you can follow us on Twitter/X at NYMLB Talk, also on TikTok as well. So, Rob, welcome back.
Thanks, Chris. Great job the other night. I enjoyed watching the show with
Thank
you and Donald. It was really good. That's good to be back, but it's off season, and this is going to be a long off season, and I think it's going to be a crazy off season.
Yeah, I think so, because you got two teams in New York that have to make some moves either way, right? Signings, I think trades. I think we can get a little bit of both here for our teams. So should be interesting.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We don't know what's going to happen. We just have to hope that our teams make the right moves and they don't do anything stupid this off season.
I agree. I definitely agree, because you know what? Both teams are win now situations, right? We're not rebuilding, but we do have a lot of work to do. Both teams, right? I mean, you have two big free agents, right? We've been talking about, right? Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz. And I can make the argument that Diaz is more important right now to re-sign, right? Because as we see with the Yankees, it's not easy to close games in New York, right? And you got Edwin Diaz. He's been here for a few years now, and he's proven he can handle New York. He could handle closing here. Outside of that 1 year, he wasn't great. So this is going to be interesting. And Alonso, what's going to happen there? Because, do you want to put him more as a DH than first base? And we just heard, Jos Naylor signed with the Mariners. How is that going to affect Pete Alonso's market? That's, I'm thinking it can only help, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Because, what other first baseman is out there?
Listen, I think he's in the driver's seat right now with first basemen. I think with Boris as his agent, forget it. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough negotiations, I think. Yeah. And there's a possibility that Pete Alonso is not a New York Met next year. I mean, let's think about that for a second. It's possible. Things in baseball are not like it used to be. Loyalties are different. They may love playing for a team. And listen, Judge, re-signed with the Yankees. He loved it there, the captain, and he probably could. Did the Giants offer him a little more, or was it the same as the Yankees?
No, I think they offered him more years. I think another year and a little bit more money. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like it used to be with the loyalty. They're going where and you can't blame them. You can't blame them. And on social media, everybody yells and screams, what an idiot, But listen, what are you going to do? Are you going to take less money, or are you going to take the biggest contract you could get? Yeah,
exactly. That's it. I think you got to weigh it out, right? Are you going to take the most money and go to a place where you haven't been, that you haven't played, and maybe you're not going to like living there or whatever, or playing there, as opposed to, obviously Alonso loves playing for the Mets, right? He's said it already, and I think last year proved it that he loves playing here. So I think it's just a matter of do they give him the most money? Because there are going to be teams out there. Boston's already. We've already heard Boston is interested in signing him, and I'm sure there's going to be other teams out there that will want to sign him, because, the guy plays every game, right? He could still play first, may not be good at first, but at least he could play, right?
Right.
But I'm sure teams would prefer to have him as DH. But yeah, I mean, listen, if the Mets want him, they're going to have to pay him this year. They're not going to be able to get away with what they got away with last year. Like just kind of piece something together and just, all right, let's kick the can down the road and let's see what happens. No, I think this is going to be a big contract. And we just seen 5 years. I put it up here.
Yeah,
Josh Naylor, 5 years, $92.5 million.
Yeah, yep.
So you got to say Alonso's getting at least that, right?
Yeah, he should. I mean, he's more proven, right? So he should. I mean, all right, he's a little older. That's true, but he's gonna listen. Someone's gonna pay him. So
yeah,
the Mets have to figure out: do we want Alonso as a lifetime Met? Do we want to pay him? They're paying him basically for what he's done. We know the back end of that contract is not going to be that great.
right.
But what is? Neither is Soto's. I mean,
Right.
none of the contract. You're playing for now. You want to win now. Look at, somebody's got to stop the Dodgers because the Dodgers just keep rolling on, and the Dodgers sign who they need, and the Dodgers do what they have to do, right? So, listen, the Mets have the money. There's no excuses. And like I've said before, I've said many times, it's up to Cohen. If Cohen wants Alonso, he'll be back as a Met, and that's the way it is. So we'll have to see. But both our teams, I mean, the Yankees too. The Yankees have some decisions to make. What's going to happen with Bellinger?
I'm sure they really want Bellinger back, and they're willing to do whatever they have to do to get him. The problem is a lot of other teams want him, including, the Mets are going to be informed too, because they need a center fielder. So we're both kind of in the same boat here, looking for the same player. And then you got other teams out there looking for him as well. Like maybe the Phillies would sign him, right? There's other teams out there that would want Bellinger because the guy could play all three outfield positions very well, and he could play first base very well. So that opens him up, a lot. His market's going to be a lot bigger than, say, Alonso. Alonso, you kind of, possibly first base, but mostly he's going to be a DH for most of that contract, right?
Right.
So Bellinger gives you both sides of the, playing both sides here. He's a great defender, and he's a pretty good offensive bat. Yeah, he had a couple of bad years in there, but, he's a former MVP. So, his market's going to be really well, and he's going to sign a decent contract. I think it's going to be bigger than a lot of people think it's going to be because a lot of teams are looking for him, and I think Alonso's going to get more than what people thought too in the beginning because of this Naylor contract. I mean, 5 years, $100 million. I think it starts there for Alonso, glove or not. I don't care. His offensive production, you can't find.
No. And how are the Mets going to make that up? If you think about that, really,
right.
And in Citi Field too, how are they going to make that up? There's a lot. Diaz, I think right now, Diaz is the most important because Diaz said, I love playing for the Mets. I love playing in New York, but if I get the right contract, I'll be happy somewhere else as long as I have a chance to win the World Series. So basically, he's saying, if you don't give me the best deal, I'll move on and I'll still be happy. And how could you not be happy with the money that he's going to get? And thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. But how are you not going to be happy?
Right, exactly. I mean, and now you got Alonso. Think about this. Alonso, in his 7 years, he's averaging 42 home runs, 114 RBIs for the Mets. And he plays the last two years alone, he's played every single game.
Yeah, listen.
The guy's never hurt.
No, he's great. That's the type of player you want on your team. He wants to play. He loves New York. So just pay the man. I mean, just pay the guy. That's how I feel. Pay the guy.
Right. He's going to be 31, I think in December. So you're paying him for, right, if it's a 5-year deal, you're paying him for his age 31 to 35 years or 31 to 36. if you have to give him an extra year, maybe make it an option year, a mutual option year or something. But I think the Mets got to get this done because, like you said, how are you going to replace him, especially when you look at some of the options at first base that are free agents. I mean, I guess I could throw Bellinger in there because he could play first if you want to sign him there. But after that, it's Ryan O'Hearn, Josh Bell, Paul Goldschmidt, Rhys Hoskins, Carlos Santana, Justin Turner. Those are the names. So they're not Pete Alonso. They're not 40 home run Pete Alonso. So that's I think the Mets are in they've kind of painted themselves in a corner with him and Diaz. At least with Diaz, there are other options to close. Like there are other closers out there, but the problem is, like I said, can they do it in New York? And Diaz has proven that, and that's worth a lot of money because unfortunately, Yankee fans know we've seen it that not every guy could close in New York or pitch in New York or play in New York, right? We've both seen that actually. So, he's definitely going to get a lot of money too, Diaz, because this is his last year to probably get that big multi-year deal.
Yeah, I agree, and you can't blame the guy. Speaking about relievers, today it came up that the Mets are interested in Devon Williams.
Speaking of guys who couldn't get it done in New York,
but what? No, thank you.
So you're on the fence, Rob, about that.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel? Listen, would you want the Yankees to re-sign him, to sign him? Okay, there. We saw how he pitched. And then they're saying, well, he didn't pitch that bad. I don't know.
You know what? Well, think of it this way. The Yankees probably don't want him back either because they would have gave him that the qualifying offer, right?
That's right.
If they really wanted him, and they didn't. So I think that kind of shows you that the Yankees, we might take him back if we get him for a lower price. But right now, I think he's gonna get a decent contract too, because other teams are gonna remember, like, hey, this guy was really good before this year, and according to some of these analytics, his numbers were pretty good. His pitches were pretty good. He was basically unlucky last year. All right, whatever. Yeah. We could say that in a different way, but but no, I don't know. I would stay away from him. So here's the other thing. Like maybe the Mets would sign Devin Williams and the Yankees sign Ryan Helsley.
Well, they might, because he's not gonna come back to the Mets, and maybe that's a bit of a change for him. It's still New York, though. Now, what happened to him? Is it because it was New York, or we've had a couple people tell us, well, we saw that he was declining a little with the Cardinals before he got traded to the Mets.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe a little change of scenery, but like Yankee Stadium's, crazy too. So the first couple of outings, if he blows, well, he'll probably be the setup guy because you got Bednar, so he'll be the setup guy. But if he gives up runs and stuff, and they start going nuts, he'll be in the same situation. So I don't know, but I could see the Yankees probably going after him.
Possibly, yeah. I just think he's another guy that's going to get closer money, right? I think Devin Williams will. I think Ryan Helsley will. So if you're going to bring him in to be your setup guy, you know what? You're going to have to pay him a lot of money either way. So
I think he wants to be a closer, though. And that might have affected him too, coming here and not being a closer. So maybe he signs with a team that wants to use him as a closer, but who knows? There's like so much, there's so much this offseason, and Seattle making the first move so quickly, I think that just set the pace now, Hopefully things move.
I think they were smart to get it. This is the guy they wanted. Hey, let's sign this guy, give him offer him up something decent. Maybe he would have got a better deal if he waited, because then, you get out in the market, other teams are bidding for you. Maybe he was like, hey, you know what? I love it there. I'm happy. 5 years, what is it, 92.5? I'll take it,
Yeah, definitely. So also came up today that it looks like the Mets are going to DFA Frankie Montas, which goodbye. I mean, he's not going to pitch anyway next year, right?
Right. I think so. I think he's out all season. So either way, I mean, this is just a 40-man spot, I guess. So they don't have to IL him or whatever. So yeah, it's going to go down as one of the worst signings ever, because what did he pitch last year? A handful of games, whatever it was.
And then he teased you, because the first game he pitched when he came back, he pitched a decent game against the Braves, and you're like, well, maybe things are going to be different. But yeah, the next start, forget it. Back to the old Frankie. So goodbye. That's another thing of Stearns thinking he's going to catch lightning in a bottle again, and it didn't happen. And from when he pitched for the Yankees, that was a stupid signing. Yeah, it really was a stupid signing.
But he pitched 9 games for you guys, 7 starts.
Yeah. What a waste of money. You talk about money.
It was.
That was definitely a waste of money. Now, today they also had a list of Mets available for trade. Okay, so on the list they have Nimmo, Vientos, Acuna, Beatty, McNeil, and Senga. All right, Nimmo has a no trade clause, right? So Nimmo's probably not going anywhere.
Probably, yeah.
Beatty, he's just coming around. So what does that say? I don't know. Beatty was looking good.
I think, to be honest, if they trade Beatty, they're probably leaning towards they're going to sign Bregman. Right?
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking too.
Which, I'll be honest, if it works out that way for you guys, I think he's the perfect guy to put on the team. I would love to have him on the Yankees. I don't see that happening, but if the Mets sign him, I think that's a great signing for the Mets, because he's you like, remember last year, even for our team, even for the Yankees, we were always talking about leadership. Like, where's the leaders on this team to straighten them out and all that? You know what? You're not going to have that problem with Bregman on the team. Bregman will keep these guys in line, right? He's been through it all that stuff. He's been through World Series games. He's been through, like, being the most hated player in baseball, or one of the most hated players in baseball, playing for the Astros. So I think that's a great signing for the Mets if they could get him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And hey, Joe Dell, how you doing?
What's up,
good
Joe?
To see you out there. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I agree with you. I would love to see him as a Met. I really would. They need that clubhouse leader. People thought Lindor was going to be that leader in the clubhouse, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on in that clubhouse. Alonso, and I have background. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Something's going on. Yeah. Yes. Chris always does a kick-ass job.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Joe.
We know that.
Well, thank you to Donald. Donald was hanging with me, so I loved hanging out with Donald, talking Yankees. So that was
you
fun.
guys could have done another hour of that show
easily. Yeah. So much to talk about in the off season.
Yeah, but anyway, getting back to this. So Vientos, I'm not going to cry about Vientos. Maybe he needs a change of scenery.
And where does he play? That's the thing too, right? Like he's kind of positionless, and with him, you're probably going to have him as your DH, or what is he going to rotate in and out of third and first? So I don't think he has a definitive role on the team. So it kind of makes sense to trade him. And Beatty, listen, if they could still sign Bregman and move Beatty to second, right, and then try to move Vientos and McNeil, right, or keep McNeil as like a utility guy.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think McNeil's time may be up. We need a modern Keith Hernandez.
That would be, that would be Bregman. If you sign Bregman, that's the kind of impact you're talking about. That's exactly when Hernandez came over, former MVP, won a championship, all that, leadership, and that's what you're getting with Bregman.
Yeah, and like Eddie Lynch told us 2 weeks ago, Hernandez came into that clubhouse, and the Mets were just satisfied. Well, we lost. We'll get them. We'll get them next time. Hernandez went into that clubhouse and said, "No, we got to win every day.
Right.
We got to change this attitude here," and he did. I mean, that was just, that was the beginning of the great stretch for the Mets. Even though they only won one World Series, still. That was an amazing stretch. And Acuna's available. See, the Mets have the pieces. They have pieces to trade. That's the good thing about when they signed Verlander and Scherzer, and then it didn't work out so well. They got players back,
Right?
And now these players are major league ready, and they could be traded. So the Mets have the pieces to move. As far as Senga goes, Senga's been a disappointment because he started out, with that ghost pitch. He started out really well, but the injuries, he's just injury prone, and he's too risky now. It's been 2 years of this, and it's a shame because when he was on, he was really, really good. But I don't know. Do you see the team making a move for Senga? Maybe the Dodgers, because
I think so. Yeah. Listen, because when he's healthy, he is really good. Maybe if he's not an ace, he's definitely at least a number 2 pitcher in your rotation. So I think he's good. Yeah, but like you said, he has been hurt a lot. But I think a team will reach out and try to trade for him. I don't know what they'll get for him. But if they move him, then you definitely got to add a frontline starter, right?
Yeah.
With or without him, you got to sign or trade for one of those top rotation guys. But there are options, right? So you could easily just sign one of these guys, right? Whether it's Michael King, Dylan Cease, Valdez from the Astros. So there's guys there that you could sign to put on top of that rotation and to kind of ease these young kids in, right? Because you got McLean, he's definitely going to be in the rotation.
Yes.
You got Holmes still, you got Minaya. So you got Peterson still. So you could ease those young kids in slowly, or, like we kind of spoke to Mickey Callaway about, go all in and go get Skubal, right?
Yeah. which Mickey said, go in and get Skubal. And, I kind of agree with him because the Mets do have the young players that are major league ready right now. They could trade them to the Tigers, and
would you include McLean for a Skubal?
See, that's rough. I don't know. That's rough because Skubal, we know what he is, right? I mean,
back-to-back Cy Youngs.
Back Cy Youngs, but
can't get any better than that.
Sometimes I get nervous when the Mets make a move like that because then they get here and there's a problem, Right. McLean, I don't know. I have to think about that.
Yeah, no, I know it's risky because what if McLean turns into Skubal in a couple of years, right? Yeah. Back-to-back Cy Youngs or close to it, Yeah.
Listen, McLean showed a lot of grit out there. He pitched. They put these kids in a bad position, in a pennant race, coming up, and they have to win the games. And he looked great. So I don't know. I like him. I don't want to see the Mets trade him away. All right. So some other free agents. Today, rumor has it that the Blue Jays are, the top team for Kyle Tucker. That's what I heard today. What do you think about that?
I totally believe it because listen, the past few years we've been talking about the Blue Jays trying to sign all the top free agents, right? Every year we hear them in on this guy, in that guy. They're trying to sign this guy. Last year they did get Santander, but for the last couple of years they've been in on all the big name guys. So yeah, it makes sense to me that they'll be looking for him. Do they need him? I guess. Right. I mean, you still got George Springer there, but he's going to be more as a DH.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, listen, for them to add Tucker, I mean, they were 2 outs away from winning the World Series. So you add a star player like Tucker. Yeah, that would be huge. And the other thing, you're keeping him away from one of your division rivals, the Yankees, because the Yankees might. I don't think they're going to try to sign him because he's a right fielder, and we kind of have a right fielder already with the Yankees, so I don't think he could play right field for at least 2 more years with Stanton here as the DH and Judge being right. The big question I'm sure the Yankees have is, can he handle left field, especially at Yankee Stadium? Left field at Yankee Stadium's, a little bit bigger than, playing in Houston all those years. So even if he did play, I think he did play some games in left, but not a lot. So I don't know if he can handle it. So what do you do in that situation? So I don't think the Yankees are going to go for him. I think the Yankees are all in for Bellinger, but like we said earlier, a few other teams are going to be looking for Bellinger because he's so good that he can move around that whole outfield. He can play first base as well. So he's going to be a hot commodity out there.
Yeah, I think, this offseason, I think these free agents are going to make more money than we thought they were going to make.
Yeah.
And we talked about this before. How's all this going to affect the possible work stoppage after next season?
Well, you got to think of it this way, right? From the owner's point of view, right? Forget about the players for a second. We'll look at it from the owner's point of view. Like, they know even if there's a work stoppage, it's going to come back, right? There's going to be baseball again, right? That's number one. Number two, they know whatever situation it is, who cares? Like, if there's going to be a salary cap, they'll figure it out, right? If they have to move somebody or whatever. But so I don't think it's going to affect them that much on what they do. And the players, they'll want to do it, because what if in another year, you do get a salary cap and teams are going to be like, all right, we can't sign this guy for, 40 million, maybe just 30 million. Not that that should make a difference, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it might affect how much these players get. So I think players are going to push to get as much as possible this year, because next year things are going to change possibly, or it might stay the same, right? It might be the same, salary tax or whatever it is and all that stuff. There may not be a cap. I think I would think possibly there's going to be a cap. I know people are like, there's no way the players are going to okay it, but you got to remember, if you give them more of a piece of the pie, right, in revenue and stuff like that, that might change a lot of these guys' views on getting it. Raise the minimum wage. Not that minimum wage for baseball players is that low.
It's almost 900,000.
Right. But if you raise it to $1 million to start, all right, maybe all those bottom feeder players will be like, hey, I don't care about a cap as long as I'm getting more money. They don't get, they don't care. I'm never going to make $30 million, so who gives a crap, So
that's true.
So that's the thing. So you gotta, we might see it or we might not. That's the whole thing. But in the end, the owners don't care, because they'll be like, hey, we're still in control. We'll do what we have to do. So
see, but the thing is, if there's a work stoppage and it's a long one, all the Major League Baseball has come back. Right. More people are watching it again. This postseason has been the most watched postseason since 2017.
I know.
The numbers are up. The numbers are going up. And what are they going to do? They're going to screw it up. And here we go again, where people are going to say, you know what? Screw baseball. I've had enough. This is ridiculous. They get too much money. They're paid too much money to play a game. You hear all that crap. Right now, people are going to games. They're spending money. And the ratings on TV, Fox was very happy. And think about it, for the World Series, it was Toronto. Okay, that was a whole country rooting for them. Toronto, LA Dodgers, and the numbers were, they haven't seen those numbers since 2017.
And I'm sure the international numbers were crazy because of Ohtani being in the World Series again, right?
Yeah.
And Yamamoto. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I hope there isn't a work stoppage. Hopefully it doesn't. Listen, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of stoppage, next year around this time. I'm sure something's going to happen. The thing is, hopefully they figure it out within 2 months or so.
Yeah, I hope.
Right, and there's no missing games and stuff like that. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think in the end, cooler heads are going to prevail. Like smarter heads, they're going to be like, all right, let's not screw this up. We're billionaires, millionaires, all that stuff. Let's not mess this up. Right.
Yeah. I mean, too much greed, destroys things, as we know. So,
yes.
well, hopefully we'll see that. Now, I wanted to bring up something. So Don Mattingly resigned from Toronto, right?
Yeah.
As the bench coach. So eventually, because everything, everything's set now, right? Do you want to see him come back to the Yankees in any capacity?
I would love it. I think, to be honest, I think as a hitting coach would be great. That's
And
it. Like Dan, I agree.
Dan just brought that up.
There you go, Dan. And you know what? I'll agree with him on that. And also, to me, more important than just as a hitting coach, as a defensive coach, to help out Ben Rice at first base, right? Because Ben Rice has to become a better fielding first baseman, right? He wasn't that good last year. And if they're going to put him there, he's got to get better. I'm sure he's working on it as we speak. But you know what? To have one of the best fielding first basemen we've ever seen help him, I think that would be enormous. And I'm sure Vladimir Guerrero got help from him because he's gotten better the last year, right? He looked really good in the playoffs. He made some nice plays at first. So, I would love it. As a manager, I mean, I don't know if he'll come back as a manager, but as a coach, that would be great. Hitting coach, first base coach, bench coach, anything. But as long as he's on the team and he's helping Ben Rice at first or whoever else we got at first, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, and bench coach too. But do you think that puts added pressure on Boone because it's like Mattingly's right there? So
let's
maybe,
hope so.
I agree with you. Mattingly's right there. So listen, he could slip right into that position, managerial position.
I like that. I like that. I like that part of it even just as much as the other elements for bringing him back. Yeah, to put a little pressure on Boone, like put pressure on that guy, light a fire under him to make you like, oh man, if I don't win, they're gonna, the calls they boo him in April, right? Aaron Boone, like nobody likes Aaron Boone. So you can imagine if Mattingly's there, they'll be calling for for him to take that job, and as soon as they get into a bad slump. So.
Listen, if they lose games in spring training, they're going to be calling from Boone.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. Like they can't wait. So that's why listen. Boone's probably not going to push for it, to have him there. So that would have to be a move from up top. And I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I don't want to say the bridges have been burnt, but it doesn't seem like it's a possibility. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, I just don't know what Hal Steinbrenner's love affair is with Boone, really. I mean, I don't know.
They love him, man. They love him because he goes, he's by the book most of the time and
company man.
Yeah, and you know what? And pretty recently in an interview, he said he goes the least towards the analytics than any other manager in the division. I find that hard to believe. Because some of his moves don't make sense.
I agree.
And they only make analytical sense, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I could tell you one thing. In the game that Schlittler pitched, especially against Boston, that was not analytics. That was definitely Boone saying, all right, I don't want to go to my bullpen. So I'm going to stick with Schlittler as long as possible, right? And it paid off. So
I agree with that 100%. All right, so let's go to a couple other things now. Jacob deGrom, American League Comeback Pitcher of the Year, 12-8, or Player of the Year, 12-8, 2.97 ERA, 185 strikeouts. It looks like the Rangers finally got something out of deGrom with that big contract, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, right? I mean, that's been a pretty bad contract for all these years since he's been there. What has he been there? 3-4 years now?
Yeah.
This is his third year. Yeah. 2023 was his first year. And he pitched, let's see, His first year, he pitched 6 games. His second year, he pitched 3 games. So 9 games in 2 years before last year. Now, here's the question, because a lot of people are saying this. Does he get to the Hall of Fame now? He's had 96 wins. He's got, the 2 Cy Youngs. He's got Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Star, ERA title. I don't know. I don't think the wins are going to, I think the wins are a little low.
Yeah, the wins are a little low, but are wins as important as they used to be? They're not.
No, but
he doesn't have 100 yet. So let's,
Right. That's what I mean. And here's a guy to compare him to, right? Tim Lincecum.
Yes. Okay,
Lincecum was great. 2-time Cy Young Award.
Yep.
4-time All-Star, but Lincecum won 3 World Series championships.
That's right.
So, and he's got 110 wins. And you remember how much he was hurt after those great years. So
yeah, I don't think DeGrom right now, as of today, I don't think DeGrom gets into the Hall of Fame.
I think you got to give a couple more good years that he had.
Yeah,
that he just had. If he has, 2 more 12, 13 win seasons, get to like 125 wins maybe.
Yeah, the Mets, the Mets never scored for DeGrom. I mean that was a big problem. And in the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. wins the National League Comeback Player of the Year. He hit 290 with 21 home runs, and what is it? Only 42 RBIs.
Wow, is that possible?
Is that what it is? I don't know. I have that written down. Did I copy that wrong? You're looking that up. I'm going to say
this is 21 and 42.
Yeah, 42 RBIs. Wow, that's low for RBIs. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. But he's the second.
Yeah, he played less than 100 games last year.
Yeah, that's why. He's the second consecutive Brave to win. Chris Sale, if you remember, won it in 2024. So that's 2 Braves in a row. And talking about the Braves for a second, they hired Jeremy Hefner, right? Which people are saying, that could be a smart move for Diaz being on the market because Diaz loved the guy. So that should make Met fans a little nervous.
Absolutely. And we know the Braves need a closer, right? Their closer last year was Iglesias. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
If
that could help them get it. Why not?
The Mets cannot let Diaz go to the Atlanta Braves. That's one place the Mets cannot let him go. So they have to do what they have to do. That's why Diaz, they're like neck and neck. What's more important, Diaz or Alonso? Diaz is very important, because like you said, he knows how to pitch and he could handle pitching in New York in the pressure situations. So, and Dan says we'll never see a 300 winner again. Yeah, you're right. As of the way things are going now, we won't.
We may never see another 200 game winner, right? I mean, outside of obviously Kershaw, Verlander, and Scherzer, those guys. After that, maybe Chris Sale. I know Chris Sale is going to get the 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah,
that I know he'll get because he's at 20. What is he up to? He's at 2579 strikeouts. So if he could stay healthy for 2 or 3 more seasons, he should get it. 3 more seasons he needs probably, but he's only got Chris Sale. Think of how great Chris Sale's been, and he's 36 years old. He's got 145 wins. So I don't even think he's going to get 200 wins.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But if he gets 3,000 Ks, you got to put him in the Hall of Fame.
And plus, we have to see how he pitches this year, after coming back from his injury. So you don't know how that goes. Well, we'll see. If Diaz goes to the Braves, that's a killer. That's going to be a killer. Diaz and like we said, he's proven he could pitch in New York. He had that one bad year when he got traded from Seattle to the Mets. Unfortunately, that was when Mickey Callaway managed the Mets, because if Diaz has, we've spoken to Mickey about this, and we've mentioned this a bunch of times. If Diaz has a Diaz year, the Mets probably make the postseason.
Yeah, and
that
they're a
year,
dangerous team with that pitching. That's a really dangerous team in the playoffs.
yeah, and he just couldn't get it going that year, which was a shame. All right, I have the Mets 2026 Mets Hall of Fame inductees, and here they are, Chris. Lee Mazzilli, which I don't know if that's a shock or not. I mean, Lee Mazzilli was the glamour boy, poster boy for those bad Met teams after Seaver got traded.
10 years.
So
he played 10 years with the Mets.
Yeah. And I liked Lee Mazzilli, of course. The great thing about Lee Mazzilli was that when he got traded, he got to come back, right? And win a World Series with the Mets.
There you go.
Like, how lucky did it? And he had a few key hits in the postseason too.
Yeah.
So Lee Mazzilli, that's not a shock.
And he's
Bobby
a
V,
local guy too, right?
Yeah,
he's a local guy, Brooklyn.
Yes, Met fans just got pissed off at him when he coached for the Yankees, and a few
won
things
a couple
happened.
rings there too.
Yeah, but all right, Bobby V. That's no shock. Bobby V deserves to be in the Mets Hall of Fame, definitely. I love Bobby V as a manager because he was great. He, made the postseason 2 consecutive years, did crazy stuff with the mustache in the dugout after he got thrown out of that game that time. Right. It was crazy. And he follows me on Twitter, so I like Bobby V.
There you go. There you go.
And the third one is Carlos Beltran, of course. Listen, the best center fielder in New York Mets history. He has to be there. You cannot judge the guy on one at bat, on one strikeout.
No.
Okay. No. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. I was there. It sucked, but you can't judge him. And that's what Met fans just booed him and judged him on that one at bat for so long, and they didn't appreciate what they had.
Right. And that's another guy. 7 years with the Mets. I mean, all great seasons too, right? With you guys. I mean, one after another. 2010, I think he was hurt, but other than that, every year the guy was great. All-Star 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-time All-Star with the Mets. Couple of 3 Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers. So I mean that guy's and we'll talk about it in a minute about getting into the Hall of Fame. I mean that's another thing. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, I would think this year, right? At least that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, it looks like it. I hope so.
And he's paid for the Astro cheating scandal now. I think it's way past that. So,
and let's think about this for a little while. How many players have not got caught cheating? Right. There are cheaters in the Hall of Fame. Should I say Gaylord Perry? Should I say Phil Niekro? I could go on and on and on. But he got caught, and it was a big scandal because the whole team was involved.
Right.
It was just crazy. But, teams have been doing that. They've been stealing signs. They've been doing this stuff since baseball started. So he paid the price, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame as a New York Met.
And I blame Manfred more than anything. He should have just vacated the championship that season, and that would have been it, right? Just to be fair. And then this way, everybody they got their big slap on the wrist. Everybody got penalized for it, and that's the end of that. Instead, nobody got any kind of penalties for what happened. I know the manager, he got fired. All right. Beltran, he was going to get the job with the Mets, and then they released him right after that. But listen, they all got slaps on the wrist, but in the end, they're still World Series champs. And I think any player or coach would do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. So, speaking of cheating, let's get to this Guardians mess with Clase and Ortiz. We've touched on it before, but more has come out. And you're right. Just what, Chris? Tell everybody what you think that Major League Baseball and DraftKings should do first of all.
Right. Well, I think they are doing it. They're limiting the prop bets, right? Yes. I was saying get rid of the prop bets totally, but supposedly they're putting limits on the prop bets. I think you can only bet up to $200. I forgot what the amount was, but it wasn't a lot of money. Okay. So I think that's going to help out. But I would have got rid of the prop bets totally, right? You don't need that. You don't need first pitch is a strike or first pitch is over 95 miles an hour or something. Stupid props. They could have just eliminated them, but they obviously didn't. So,
those are so easy to control too. Throw a wild pitch or and look what happened. Let me just see what look at the last strike of Pellinger.
Yeah, exactly. I know that was bad.
That was.
We did look at that whole series. That the whole offense was totally quiet, other than Judge. But
yeah,
we don't have to talk about that again.
But anyway, Clase, what is he doing? What the best closer, arguably one of the best closers in baseball,
right? And
he's throwing a pitch in the dirt and making these stupid bets for how much money? For $8,000, $10,000? Does it make any sense to you?
It doesn't, especially Clase. Clase is like the best closer in the game. So there's a guy that's going to sign a huge contract soon, for whatever, like basically what Diaz signed a couple of years ago, 5 years, $100 million, something like that. So why are you messing around with a couple of $1,000, bets? So for me, it looks like he was in with somebody else. He owed a lot of money to somebody. Maybe he's a degenerate gambler himself. And he got in over his head. I don't know how, but I'm just assuming that because you can't be that stupid to take a chance on a $5,000 bet or even a $10,000 bet for that matter, when you got $100 million waiting for you in a couple of years. So I think he just got in trouble with some bettors and he borrowed money maybe, and he had to pay it back. And this
maybe allegedly, we don't know.
Whatever. Yeah. I just can't see them being that stupid. It just doesn't make it doesn't make sense, but
it definitely doesn't make sense. But you're right with these prop bets; they're stupid. Who cares if the first pitch is over 90 miles per hour? If it's a ball, if it's a strike, it's right. Stupid. And the pitchers have too much control over that stuff, and the catchers too. Let's not forget the catchers. So. All this crap going on, but Major League Baseball brings it on to themselves.
Yes.
With all, and it's big money. We know that. DraftKings, what these betting places must be paying Major League Baseball for advertising. But it's crazy because, you banned Pete Rose for all that time, right?
Yep.
The Black Sox, all this other stuff, but yet you make it tempting with this sponsorship of, the first pitch is sponsored by DraftKings, and it's also, well, it could be a little.
Let's be honest, they're never getting rid of gambling.
No, right? Of course not.
They're making too much money out of this, and you know what? And gambling has been around forever, whether it's legal or illegal. So it's never going away. Right. So
no, but the prop bets, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And they just, I don't know. They're just too easy. But you know what? Maybe they put that in there so that they can catch more people. Right. Maybe this is a way, because if they're stupid enough to do this and then go through a legal betting thing to, you know what I mean? Like if they're that stupid, they should get caught.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Listen. I agree with you 100% on that. So we'll just have to see what happens. Of course, both their lawyers say that they're innocent, but we will we will see. And Dan says, I think they shouldn't be advertising you're opening Pandora's box. Yeah, Dan, but like Chris said, it's too much money. They're not giving up that money. No
Ridiculous
way.
money. Ridiculous money. Like hundreds of millions, of dollars that they're making from these betting things. So,
they're
not going away, unfortunately.
They're not giving up that money, but there should be. Listen, they're going to have to make example out of these guys. They have to really make an example out of players so that they don't get tempted to do this.
Right. That's the other thing. Exactly. I think you hit it right on the head there, that they have to make an example so that these players don't do it, because you're going to see more players go, hey, all right, you know what? If let's bring him up. If Ohtani could get away with it, why can't I get away with it? Right. I know he's the superstar, and there was no way he was going to get, pinched for this. But you know what? Other players, if these guys come back at any point, I think a player's going to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe it's worth it.
Yeah. So I think they're going to make an example out of these two. Class A, really, it's stupid because, like you said, one of the best, if not the best, relievers in baseball. The guy was going to have his next contract was going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And he blew it. He blew that. Ortiz, he's young. We don't know what he was going to be really, but just stupidity all around. They're going to have to make an example. They got to stop this because you can't have this stuff affecting games. I don't care if it's the first pitch or the last pitch of a game. You just can't do this. I mean,
no.
Now I'm sure they reviewed every game that he pitched in and to see what the first pitch he threw looked like.
He had one more year left. Think about this. Next year, he was going to make $6.4 million. Then the next 2 years were club options at $10 million apiece. So he just threw $26 million away on top of whatever he lost this year. Yeah.
And whatever future contracts that he would have signed.
He would have become a free agent. Think about this. He would have became a free agent after 2028, and he would have been 30 years old, or he would have been going into his age 31 season as a free agent. Now, Diaz is 31 himself this year, or 32, right?
Right? Yeah. Yes.
So think about it. He would be in the same position as Diaz in a couple of years. Right now, he would be in that position. And think of that in 3 years, 4 years, you're talking about easy 4-year contract, $100 million he threw away. Think about how much money this guy threw away. And now he's going to have nothing because he's going to go to jail. They said they could go to jail for over 40 years. I don't think they're going to do that, but still.
That's a long time. And then, they have, that the no betting thing already. So it wouldn't be in your contract.
You don't get paid. So
you don't get paid. But listen, we'll just have to see what's going on now. Before I get to future shows and stuff, do you have anything else you want to say?
We could talk about the Hall of Fame that was released, right? Real quick.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame was released, the Hall of Fame ballot. There's no good, not good. There's no first ballot Hall of Famers on the first ballot guys that have, you're talking about guys like Cole Hamels, really good, but I don't see him as a first ballot.
No.
Ryan Braun, Alex Gordon, Edwin Encarnacion, Matt Kemp, Daniel Murphy.
Yeah. No.
There's nobody there, but the guys that have been held over, I think those are the guys we got to talk about more. Like Beltran got 70% last year, and this is going to be his 4th year on the ballot. I think he gets in, right?
Yeah, I think he gets in.
Andrew Jones, this will be his 9th year on the ballot. He got 66% last year.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah,
it's going to be tough.
Another 9%. I don't know.
That's going to be tough.
Chase Utley is going to be on his 3rd year on the ballot at 30, almost 40%. He got
no Chase Utley. Thank you very much.
Listen, eventually you're going to have to. I think he'll get in, but maybe not this year.
Not now.
A-Rod is going to be on his 5th year.
But
I don't
we
think
know
he gets in. Manny Ramirez is going to be in his last year on the ballot this year. He's probably done after this year. Andy Pettit is 8th year. He's only at 27%.
Nah.
An interesting name to look for, especially for guys like DeGrom and even we mentioned Lincecum, is Felix Hernandez, because he had a pretty good career in Seattle.
Yeah.
Right. But he had 169 wins.
So
right?
we have to watch that, right?
It's only his 2nd year on the ballot. Then you got Bobby Abreu. I mean, that guy had a really great career. But you know what? The career number, like the home runs weren't there. You know, he's under 300 home runs. He's got under 2,500 hits. A really great career. 400 stolen bases.
Yeah.
Batted .291. So, but
yeah, he did. But I think it's Beltran and
Andrew
I don't
Jones,
know.
hopefully.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Andrew Jones. That's going to be
Rollins. I think is going to get a little bit more.
Rollins. Yeah, probably. But I think Beltran gets in this year. So I think he's the one that gets in. He may be the only one that gets in this year.
You're right. I don't know if Andrew Jones is going to jump. What you need 75%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have to jump almost 9% to get in.
I mean, it's not impossible, but I don't know about that. But we're going to talk more about that as the time gets closer. In about a month, we'll go over a lot of stuff. I just wanted to plug the company that did our cards. Let's see if I could. Okay. That's tough with this background to get it. But yeah, because it mixed in. But look at this card. They did a great job for our cards. And then the front is our logo and the back is TikTok, X, and YouTube. So we have these cards that are going to go out. We've been putting them everywhere. They're beautiful cards. They were done by Royal Press, 1267 Forest Avenue in Staten Island. I'll tell you, they did a great job on our cards. I couldn't believe how good they are.
And if you were on a cruise last week, you probably picked one up attached to a duck.
Attached to a duck. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, a lot of people got our cards, and we got some subscribers. So I just wanted to plug them because they did a really good job.
Yeah, they came out great. When you sent them to me, I was like, wow, these are great.
Yeah, so we have these cards. Well, if anybody wants a card, let us know, and we'll send it out to you. I'll send it out to you. They're really cool. But anyway, all right, so the rest of the schedule. We have a bunch of guests coming on throughout the next week. We have a bunch of baseball book authors starting next week. Friday night we'll go over that. We'll tell you who's coming on. So, Chris, we have a lot of pretty good guests coming up. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Anytime you could get guests that want to talk baseball, whether it's baseball history or baseball now, I'm all for it. I love talking baseball, and it's been great. On this show, we've had great guests. We've had, the mother-son we had last week was great, right? Going to all the stadiums, giving us a lot of info about all the stadiums. That was a really cool show. We've had, magicians. So we've had a little bit of everything. We've had a puppet. So
we have had ex-major leaguers and managers too.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, right.
And Dan, I'll get you a card. Don't worry, I'll get you a bunch of cards. So definitely. All right, Chris. So Friday night, I don't know who our guest is yet, so we're working on it. But Friday night, we will be back at 10 p.m. To talk. And
hopefully, we'll get some more hot stove talk. Hopefully, we'll get a signing or two. By the way, we'll update it quickly. The 2 Japanese players, Okamoto, the first baseman, third baseman, will be posted tomorrow.
Yes,
and the pitcher, Imia.
Imia, yep.
Imia, right?
Yes,
he's going to be posted tomorrow, and I think teams got till January 3rd, 2nd,
the
4th,
3rd.
3rd. Okay, January 3rd to sign him. So we might get some news about those guys, because those are 2 guys that are definitely going to be coveted by a lot of teams. Imia could be a number 2 starter. Okamoto, first baseman, third baseman, good glove, decent bat, hits for average. So look out for those guys. You know, both our teams are going to be looking for those guys, I believe. So we'll see.
Yeah, we definitely will see. Well, Chris, another great show. I'm glad that we got to do a show with just me and you talking some baseball. You know,
Yeah.
it's always good to get those in. And I want to thank everybody out there. You know, we got a pretty good amount of people for a Tuesday at 3 p.m. You know, we're ending with a decent amount of people, so we appreciate you out there. And we will see you Friday night at 10 p.m.